Well, for much of the COVID-19 pandemic, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has been looked at as a kind of rock star governor with his daily COVID briefings and his state's notable recovery, at least over the summer. Joe Biden last year even called him the, quote, gold standard when it comes to leadership. But now the governor is facing growing scrutiny over the nursing home deaths in New York, with even members of his own party, including Representative AOC, calling for federal investigations. Among them is New York Democrat Assemblyman Ron Kim, who claims that the governor threatened to, quote, destroy him over the scandal, and who is now calling for Cuomo to be impeached. Cuomo's office denies any threats against you, Assemblyman. What are you accusing the governor of doing, and how did he do it?
Well, everyone in your politics knows he has been abusive for a long time to his staff, elected officials, even journalists. So I received a call from Cuomo threatening and ordering me to issue a statement that he can use to cover up for his top aide. That the day before that call, the state secretary, Melissa DeRosa, had implicated his administration by admitting that they withheld life-saving nursing home data because they feared the information would be used against them.
Wow. Assemblyman Kim, obviously some very big allegations here. I'm wondering what you think should be a consequence of the governor's actions.
Well, I think we need to get to the truth. I mean, his use of verbal, language and abuse of power to implicate as many people with the suppression of nursing home data. What are they covering up? Why are they covering up the information? I mean, they've already admitted to it, but I believe all roads lead to the corporate legal immunity that Cuomo stuck into the state budget for his top corporate donors. Now, this happened at the peak of the first COVID wave that gave legal and criminal shields to some of the worst nursing home executives and businesses.
So do you think, what consequences, though, should the governor face for his actions?
Right. So I think once we get to the truth, it needs to be thoroughly investigated, whether at the state, the federal, and we need to pursue immediately the impeachment process. Right now, he is trying to implicate as many people in the cover-up. Every day when he speaks, he's literally saying, you knew about it. You knew about it. Oh, if I go down, you're going to go down. That's essentially what he's saying every day to the media. So we have a duty now. It's no longer about Cuomo. It's about saving the integrity and the sanctity of our legislative bodies. And the only way to do that is to pursue the impeachment process.
I wonder if you think that Cuomo got a free pass over the summer and in the wake of what we saw here in March and April and May. I mean, I remember the daily coronavirus press briefings. They were oftentimes broadcast nationwide for the entire country to listen to, even though he's the governor of New York. Did he get this free pass? I mean, he ended up writing a book about the recovery, even though we're not through this pandemic yet. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother story. The ethics committee didn't even approve the book. I'm not even sure if it's illegally allowed to accept the profits that it made from the book. There's a number of things that need to be investigated. But yes, you're absolutely right. Lawmakers like me, we were on the ground crying every day in our cars because our constituents couldn't get into nursing homes to see the loved ones. And we're seeing people dying left and right, still feeling traumatized. And he wasn't around. He went around a book. He was on national, cable TV talking about how great of a leader he is. And yes, I think the media has given him a pass, but now they're catching up to the truth and doing their best to hold him accountable. I'm very grateful for that.
Have you been in touch with his office this week or last week?
No. The moment that he made several further attempts after that one phone call, a total of 8 attempts to harass me, I hired a lawyer to protect myself, and I told him any further engagement should go through my attorney.
Look, like millions of Americans, you have been affected by the COVID pandemic with a family member who did pass away. You have a personal stake in this issue. Your uncle died in a nursing home last year. What's the message that you have for the governor about what you found?
Yeah. Yes, I've experienced the trauma and pain of having a loved one, someone like my uncle. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in this country. He's the one who sponsored the visa for my family to immigrate to this country. And for someone like him to die alone in pain with no funeral, no acknowledgement of his life, there are 15,000 other stories like that in New York. They don't get the chance to go on these platforms to talk about their stories. So I'm still doing my best to be a voice for them. And I just hope that the governor can understand what that means. 15,000 people died. I don't think he fully understands the gravity of this moment. It's almost as if he dehumanized all those deaths through the daily briefings by putting up some numbers, but he hasn't made one attempt to talk to any of those families. He's never showed up at a nursing home to talk to the workers on the ground who are still dealing with health issues after recovering from COVID. I mean, that's the kind of leadership we needed, but it's clear that he doesn't have it. So it's either he should get out or so we can do our job as soon as possible.
Assemblyman Kim, do you think that the federal government should get involved? Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says that there should be federal investigations around this.
I agree with AOC. I believe Senator Gillibrand already confirmed that there is a federal probe, a new federal probe in light of the recent discovery. And I hope that the state can also step up and do our part to thoroughly investigate the matter.
Well, you represent Queens, one of the areas that was hardest hit by this pandemic and continues to be hardest hit by this pandemic. What do you need from Governor Cuomo right now in terms of getting through this pandemic, in terms of vaccine, in terms of getting past this?
He needs to decentralize and trust our localities to do their job. We already had a vaccine planned before he centralized everything and gave it to the hospitals. Counties, the local cities, we already had a sound plan that in partnership with pharmacies to do the vaccinations. And so he needs to take a more of a partnership approach and collaborate with the stakeholders on the ground that can actually execute.
New York Assemblyman Ron Kim, thanks so much for your time, Assemblyman.